Day 2 is stasis, followed by irrelevance, followed by excruciating, painful decline, followed by death.
Do not confuse the thing that gets you a seat at the table for the thing that wins you the game. GB, make a task for me to review recent trends that have been tracking in my notes. GB, remind me to get goat milk on Sunday. By doing that, you're getting more experiences, you're getting more information, and it's a completely different kind of information. That is where you get a flywheel effect of constant and upward trajectory of learning. GB, make a task for me to add a door field to my decision tag. Being slow is often more costly than being wrong. GB, remind me to take the cat to the vet in 3 months. You need to be doing thinking, and it needs to be deep thought. And there needs to be some kind of system that facilitates that thought, that pushes you forward, that compels you to think. If you don't do any original thought, you just let the AI do all of your thinking for you, you are going to get the same results that everyone else gets. You're going to get them faster than you ever got them before, but so is everyone else. There they go. And you see the reminders were added. I had tasks that were created. And you see all of these references, all of these things are linked to this source. So you see what's happening here right now is I definitely would not have made that connection myself. I like to start my day off by interrogating my day. 3 months from now, I will have a reminder waiting for me to take my cat to the vet. And that happened while I was doing everything else, while I was taking notes about Bezos and everything. Everything was linked up automatically. You bring in your super tags from your own system that already exist, and you just turn them into sources and highlights and buckets. The context engineering that is happening, and it's happening as a natural part of your flow. I'll give her a little bit more feedback and she'll give me some more stuff and I'll just copy paste. And that's how quickly it goes. She's also designed to guide you through an entire process to go deep on who you are, what matters to you, especially as far as capturing information and why you want it done that way. What you just saw was a little montage of some of the high points from a little demo that I did. If you want to jump straight to that demo, go to the chapter, or I'll put the time on the screen here. And otherwise, I'm going to talk for a bit and tell you what Giga Brain is and why you should care. One of the biggest challenges, even now, in the age of AI, is how do you connect everything? How do you get results that are meant for you? And how do you work without switching context while also achieving great results and unique insights? Unique insights are very important because that's how you're going to stand out in the AI world. Giga Brain gives you the best possible context that you could get anywhere. And the reason is because you help train the AI on who you are, what's important to you, what you're doing, and how you want every aspect of your system to be leveraged. And the reason that's possible is because of how Tana operates, how it's structured, and how you can structure everything yourself. And I've done a ton of the structuring for you in Giga Brain, and then you take it the last mile to just connect it to however your system works, and then fill out the context, and you're off to the races. There's so much that Giga Brain does. It really is, it's an entire platform built inside another product, Tana. Anything that Tana can ingest, you can bring it in, and Giga Brain can work with it and generate highlights automatically, or you can include your own highlights, take your own notes, whatever you want. It'll aggregate those highlights. You can connect those highlights automatically to wherever you want these things to be going and making those connections. And the AI is following your instructions for all of that. And it's not just explicit instructions, although those are important. There's also implicit rules that it learns based on all of the context of who you are and what you're doing that you provide it in every interaction based on what I call guidance, which is really, it's engineering context. One of the major benefits you get from Giga Brain is you get to engineer your own context almost as an afterthought. And then while you continue to use the system, you become more aware of what you're doing because you get better or worse results depending on what you do. And then you can talk with the system, you can update the system, and the system, as you use it, will update you over time as well, in a good way, not like an automatic reprogramming or something, but because you are consciously paying attention to what you're doing, you are growing and learning. Now, it's not all manual because you get help from AI assistants each step along the way, either for things that don't require you to be involved, happens automatically. For things that require your unique insights and thoughts, the AI agents help you, they assist you, they push you forward, but they don't do the work for you, which is important. Sometimes it's A, sometimes it's B. There's so much possibility in what you can do with it. I designed it to be hackable in a good way, in a way that as you learn more and more about how it works, you can bend it more and more to how you want it to do things. Every intended and unintended benefit flows back into the same system again, and you can build off of that benefit then. Here's what you can do for next steps to learn even more. There are a couple events. This one is coming tomorrow. I'm going to do a bunch of demos of different workflows that you can achieve. I'm going to go much deeper than I'm going in this video. And you'll be able to ask me questions in the moment or at the end of the session as well. That's tomorrow, Saturday. And then on Wednesday, I'll be doing another event with Simon. And we're going to be talking about our experience building these deep, high-value templates and what that was like doing that in Tana, what the possibilities are, how our templates work together, how other people can also actually contribute to this community of building super valuable experiences for other people. Okay, so that's events. In just a few weeks, the first course is Mindshift Mechanics. What you're seeing here, I was already planning the course, but it was different compared to what this is because I had the skeleton ready to go, but then I was doing some research when I was talking with Charlie, one of the agents in Giga Brain. He was making connections and I realized, wow, okay, I could totally revamp the course and it's going to be so much more valuable, which is what I ended up doing. And it's a case in point for the value of Giga Brain because the connections, they were there for me to make. I was just never going to do that. And because of that, I was able to transform it would have been a good course, but it wouldn't have been nearly as innovative as Mindshift Mechanics is going to be. And part of what this is going to train you for is meta adaptivity, because you can't just adapt. You have to be able to adapt to adapting environments now because of AI. So you need to be able to figure out, when do I jump, how high, when do I not jump, when do I wait for a bit? And also, how do I stand out in the crowd? How do I compete? What is going to be my special sauce? And how does my special sauce not change every week? You know, how do I stay ahead and stay sane? Oh, by the way, every course, it comes with a refund policy of, you buy the course, and if you ask for a refund up through the first week of the course, so you get to preview the first week and see what it's like. Which for a 3-week course like this, that's a third of the course. You can ask for a refund. All that I ask in return is you tell me why, so that I can improve. You know, whether you thought the course sucked, or I was messaging it incorrectly. I misled you, in what you thought you were getting, that kind of thing. Oh, speaking of which, I had a great question yesterday. Mindshift Mechanics. I will be demoing all of the things in the course. I'll demo them using Giga Brain, but you don't need to have Giga Brain yourself. I'll be using Tana. You don't necessarily need Tana yourself though. Although, of course, I'm a Tana ambassador. I highly recommend you use Tana. I will be demoing OpenAI stuff. GPT-5 is probably going to be released by the time this course begins, and I'm going to be playing around with every bell and whistle, and I will be using whatever bells and whistles are appropriate to teach these things. And then if I need to, I'm going to try not to, but if I have to, I'll, string together some N8N flows or whatever the hot ticket item is that day, that week. But you do not need to know any of that tech. If you want help, there's going to be office hours, and I will give you assistance in how to apply these things that I'm teaching to your particular tech. But you do not need to know anything. You don't need to use any of the tools before taking this course. This course is about how to turn yourself into the tool that will get you ahead, because that is going to be the way that you stay alive, you thrive in the future AI environment, because everyone is going to have access to AI. So you being able to use AI on a fundamental level does not set you apart. What sets you apart is going to be unique things. And those unique things could be any number of things, but let's stick with knowledge. How do you get unique knowledge? You either have access to information that no one else has, which is becoming increasingly rare these days because everyone has access to AI and AI has access to almost all information. But it's possible. But it's either going to be that, or you have a unique angle, or you've thought about something 2 or 3 steps beyond what most people, even what most AI has thought. Because AI is trained to serve, basically. And so AI is only going to be as creative and inventive as the people who leverage it. So it's up to you to be the creative force in that dynamic. And that's what this is all about. I talked about that longer than I anticipated. Okay, the other course, Tana for Advanced Builders. So that Mindshift Mechanics, that's 3 weeks. This one is 5 weeks. There's a prerequisite. You're going to need to already be very familiar with Tana. And if you're not familiar at all yet, but you would like to take this course, there's still, 5 weeks until this course starts. So you have time. You have time to learn. But this is not for beginners. It's not even for intermediate users of Tana, okay? Want to make that clear. But if you would like to be able to make your own template like Giga Brain or like Simon's focus streams, then take this course. I will teach you everything that I know. It's not just about technicalities. I have 15 years of product design experience. I will be giving you that expertise as well. I'll also be telling you, how do you market it? And even the basics, like, how do you set up a storefront? It doesn't have to be something like this. It can just be a simple Gumroad thing. How do you identify problems, gaps in the market? How do you know what people want? How do you build iteratively? How do you respond to setbacks? And how do you put all of that together and present it in a packaged experience? This course is for that type of person, or if you want to support a team inside Tana, it would be very useful for you as well. And finally, if you're not planning on selling templates and you don't have a team that you're supporting, but you love building complex and powerful, flexible systems, this will be for you too. Finding like product market fit and stuff won't necessarily be what you're interested in, but everything else would be perfect for you. On to the demo then, and definitely come to one of the events if you can. All sorts of links are going to be below. What I'm going to demonstrate here is just one of many, many possible workflows that you can leverage Giga Brain for. And even within that workflow, that one workflow, I'm only showing like 30% of the capabilities. If you want to dive into things with me, there's going to be more video content on YouTube coming, but especially I would attend one of the events, and then you can ask me questions in real time too. Okay, but what I'm doing here right now is I've got this thing, I made a tag called diegetic note. It's plugged into my Giga Brain, which that will make sense if you watch more content that's coming. But what I've got here is a link, and I'm not even going to get the text content. What I'm going to do is listen to a podcast and insert my own commentary as I'm listening. So let me actually start capturing audio, and I'm going to play the podcast, and we're going to experience this together. Now this podcast, this is one of my favorite podcasts. It's the Founders Podcast with Dave Senra, and lots of awesome insights. And this is actually a really interesting thing to talk about, is the fact that I am hearing information from David Senra, who is like summarizing and translating the things that he's read, in this case from Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. And he's distilling that from a whole bunch of different letters and books that Jeff wrote. And those books, in turn, are a distillation of Jeff Bezos's experiences, his wisdom, his knowledge. And so you see kind of like the knowledge laundering process that is happening in a good way. And this is one of the things that was my intention to replicate in Giga Brain, using Giga Brain in your own system with your own thoughts, and bringing in other people's information and thoughts as well. But being able to do that kind of idea laundry, transforming things, mixing them with the other things, and coming up with entire brand new things. Okay, let's just get into it now. And I'm gonna play this just in case you're getting bored. That's going on in the background. Hope it's not too distracting.
He's obsessed with this idea of day one, and he's terrified of day two coming. And I think this is one of the most important letters he wrote. Jeff, what does day two look like? That's a question I got at our most recent all hands meeting. I've been reminding people that it's day one for a couple of decades. I work in an Amazon building named Day One. And when I moved buildings, I took the name with me. I spend time thinking about this topic. Day two is stasis, followed by irrelevance, followed by excruciating, painful decline, followed by death. That is why it's always day one. To be sure, this kind of decline would happen in extreme slow motion. And
this is a very important point, and I'm going to be doing this a lot. Hopefully that's interesting for you. Like the margin between thriving and death in business essentially is often razor thin. And in order to be on the right side of that razor's edge, you need to treat every day as if it's day one, your first day. You can't get too comfortable. If you get comfortable, like he just said, that's stasis. You're not growing and changing. You're not adapting. And this wisdom was always true, but in the age of AI, where technology is adapting itself day by day, you need to be able to maintain that day one mentality. Otherwise, someone else is going to be striving harder, faster, smarter than you are, and you will lose whatever laurels you're resting on. All right, let's continue.
Established company might harvest day two for decades, but the final result will still come. I am interested in the question, how do you fend off day two? What are the techniques and tactics? How do you keep the vitality of day one even inside a large organization? Such a question can't have a simple answer. There will be many elements, multiple paths, and multiple traps, but I don't know the whole answer. I know many bits of it. Here's a starter pack of essentials for day one defense. So he lists a few of these tactics and principles. Number one, customer obsession. We've already covered that. I think you get that by now, right? Number two, a skeptical view of proxies. Number three, the eager adoption of external trends. And number four, high velocity decision-making. I'm going to skip right to number two. Resist proxies. As companies get larger and more complex, there's a tendency to manage to proxies. This comes in many shapes and sizes, and it's dangerous, subtle, and very day two. A common example is process as proxy. Good process serves you so you can serve customers. But if you're not watchful, the process can become the thing. This can happen very easily in large organizations. The process becomes the proxy for the result you want. You stop looking at outcomes and just make sure you're doing the process.
This is very similar to something that I think it was Warren Buffett. I think a lot of people have said it, but I think Warren Buffett was the first one to popularize this idea of, if you're playing a game, don't be staring at the scoreboard. You have to have your eyes and especially your mind on the field. And this is maybe different, but kind of the same thing in that you're focused on the process and you just get the process right. And it doesn't have to be, there's so many ways that this can go wrong. This proxy thinking, one of them is process. But yeah, if you focus only on that and you're ignoring the results and you're ignoring where you're going and why you're going there, then you will get in this trap, this feedback loop of, oh, I must be doing things right because all of my metrics are tracking my process and I'm following the process. And the reason why you keep being successful on paper is that you are doing this thing that you already nailed down how to do. Doesn't necessarily give you results though. And if you notice that results and success are diverging, that's probably a good sign that that's what's happening. You are operating by proxy and faulty proxies at that.
Process right. It is not rare to hear a junior leader defend a bad outcome with something like, well, we followed the process. A more experienced leader will use it as an opportunity to investigate and improve the process. The process is not the thing. This speaks right to my soul. He's got 2 paragraphs that continue on this line of thinking that I absolutely love. Good inventors and designers deeply understand their customer. They spend tremendous energy developing that intuition. They study and understand many anecdotes rather than only the averages you'll find on surveys. They live with the design. I am not against beta testing or surveys, but you, the product owner, must understand the customer, have a vision, and love the offering. A remarkable customer experience starts with heart, intuition, curiosity, play, guts, taste.
There is such a fine line between having your actions informed by data and, getting a view of what the typical person or user is and all those things. It's valuable. Like Jeff says here, he's not against taking surveys, doing beta tests, or anything else like that. However, it has to be informed by yourself at some point, and you have to be informed by experience. This is one of the things that I think is going to be a differentiator in the new AI world. Is and this is, I think, a trap that people are falling in a lot. Is I need to learn AI. I need to catch up. I need to get ahead, so I'm going to learn AI. You can catch up by learning AI, but understanding and leveraging AI tools and everything, that's table stakes now in the now and the near future. That's not how you get ahead. Everyone will have access to AI. Not everyone will have access to expertise, to experiences, to a host of other things that I'll get into in future videos. But do not confuse the thing that gets you a seat at the table for the thing that wins you the game. Those are typically different things. You need to get a seat at the table in order for you to win the game, but that's not how you beat the competition once you get to the table, usually.
You will not find any of it in a survey. The third tactic, embrace external trends. This one's pretty straightforward. The outside world can push you into day 2 if you won't or can't embrace powerful trends quickly. If you fight them, you're probably fighting the future. Embrace them and you'll have a tailwind. He embraced the internet at the very beginning. These big trends are not that hard to spot. They get talked and written about a lot, but they can be strangely hard for large organizations to embrace. He's writing this in 2016.
GB, make a task for me to review recent trends that have been tracking in my notes.
And he says, we're in the middle of an obvious one right now that is machine learning and artificial intelligence. He nailed that one. And then the last one is high velocity decision making. And he says, day 2 companies, they can make
GB, remind me to get goat milk on Sunday.
High quality decisions. They just make high quality decisions slowly. This is so great. There's another, he uses this as an example quite frequently in talks too, where he's like, you're going to drive great people away from your organization if you make your decisions too slow, and you have to get comfortable making decisions with less information than you would like. Because if you make decisions slow, great people want to build things, and decision making slows down their ability to build things. Like, hey, I love their mission, I can't build anything, so I'm leaving. And there's a great line from this. D. Hawk, the founder of Visa, actually said something where he says, making good judgments and acting wisely when one has complete data, facts, and information is not leadership. It's not even management. It's bookkeeping. And so Jeff's going to say something very similar here. Amazon is determined to keep our decision-making velocity high. Speed matters in business. The first step for this is don't use a one-size-fits-all decision-making process. Many decisions are reversible, two-way doors. I think Jeff was the one that...
Here's one of the things also about making decisions with incomplete information. I think in another paper, or maybe he says this later in a minute or so, but Bezos says like the best percentage that you should feel that you've achieved of information before you make that decision, it's not 100%, it's not 90%, it's more like 70%. If you're getting into the 80-90% confidence range, you've waited too long. Obviously you need more than 30, 40, 50%, but like you can't wait too long. And one of the interesting aspects of that is if you make decisions earlier, again, not way too early, like you're only at 20% or something, but if you make decisions at that 70% mark instead of 90%, then it may seem like you're making decisions on less information. Technically, in a very narrow scope, you are. But by doing that, you're getting more experiences, you're getting more information, and it's a completely different kind of information. Like the type of information that you get going from 70 to 90%, that's more like incremental information. But if you make that decision at 70%, and things suddenly have changed now because you shipped, you are getting waves of completely new information. So not only are you're actually getting more information because it's coming in faster than if you're waiting for that trickle to get from 80 to 85%, but it's completely different in quality. It's much higher quality. Just because it's different, it's higher quality, but also because you made a decision. And if you are being intentional with what you're testing when you make that 70% decision, if you've been paying attention that whole time up until that 70% mark, what more information would I like to know? And how can I embed that in the thing I'm about to ship and be able to answer it by what I'm shipping? That is where you get a flywheel effect of constant and upward trajectory of learning. Did I cover my face? Probably. Oh well.
Popularize this idea that you one-way door. Once you walk through there, you can't easily reverse that decision. You better take a hell of a lot of time and make sure you're making that right decision. But most decisions you're making in business are not like that. You walk through the door, oh shit, I made a bad move, let me go back the other way. So that's what he says. It's not one size fits all.
GB, make a task for me to add a door field to my decision tag.
Any decisions are reversible, so they're two-way doors. Second, most decisions are probably made with somewhere around 70% of the information you wish you had.
There you go.
If you wait for 90%, you're being too slow. Plus, either way, you've got to get good at quickly recognizing and correcting bad decisions. If you're good at course correcting, being wrong may be less costly than you think, whereas being slow is going to be expensive for sure. So he actually has a way to do this.
Yeah, that's an amazing point. Being slow is often more costly than being wrong. It feels counterintuitive, but in school, it's more costly to be wrong than to be slow. But in anything that's hyper competitive, which business is, it's more often than not more costly to be slow than it is to be wrong.
That he also popularized. And it's this idea, as the leader of your company, you have to disagree and commit. I disagree and commit all the time. We recently greenlit a particular Amazon Studios original. I told the team my view. It's debatable whether it'd be interesting enough. It's really complicated to produce. The business terms aren't even that good. We have a lot of other opportunities we could pursue. but the team had a completely different opinion and wanted to go ahead. I wrote back right away with, I disagree and commit and hope it becomes the most watched thing we've ever made. Consider how much slower this decision cycle would have been if the team had to actually convince me rather than simply get my commitments. So if you disagree and commit, you can actually make decisions faster and build faster. He's got another great idea here, the idea that high standards are contagious and how you can fix the inability to adhere to high standards with just teaching scope.
It's not just high standards that are contagious. It's any standards. Whatever standards you hold, especially if you're in a position of leadership or respect, those become contagious.
I don't know if I've heard anybody else describe this idea this way, so I think it's very fascinating. I believe high standards are teachable. People are pretty good at learning high standards simply through exposure. High standards are contagious. If you bring a new person onto a high standards team, they'll quickly adapt. The opposite is also true. I believe high standards are domain specific, and that you have to learn high standards separately in every arena of interest. Understanding this point is important because it keeps you humble. You can consider yourself a person of high standards in general and still have debilitating blind spots. There can be whole arenas of endeavor where you may not even know that your standards are low or non-existent and certainly not world-class.
This is very true. At the same time, I'm going to lightly push back because there is also bleed over, into different areas, whether it's, expertise, domain knowledge, or just, general competence. If someone is very good at thing A, there is a certain chance that they're going to be good at thing B as well, even if they're not directly related. At the very least, there's a higher probability that they'll be comparatively better than someone who isn't that good at something else, if that makes sense. So there is carryover. However, that actually makes the danger of you overestimating yourself in other domains even greater, because you will experience that bleed through, that carryover, and you will think, oh, this is always the case. Or I'm just naturally amazing at everything, or whatever. Maybe it's not about yourself. Maybe this assumption is about other people that you see, oh, they kick ass here, so they're going to obviously kick ass here because that's been shown to be the case. Not necessarily. In fact, that is kind of a recipe for disaster if you assume that's going to happen. All right.
Class. It is critical to be open to that likelihood. And he's got a funny way to teach this story where he says a close friend of his wanted to learn how to do a perfect handstand. That's no assistance. You can't lean against the wall. You're just a handstand in the middle of the room. No assistance at all. You can do it for a long period of time. And it's really difficult to learn. So difficult that there's actually people whose jobs is to coach people how to make a perfect handstand. And Jeff thought that was actually kind of funny that there was a coach for such thing. But then he said the coach said something that was really
GB, remind me to take the cat to the vet in 3 months.
smart that he actually applied to Amazon. And so the coach says, most people think that if they work hard, they should be able to master a handstand in about 2 weeks. The reality is that it takes about 6 months of daily practice. If you think you should be able to do it in 2 weeks, you're just going to end up quitting. This is now Jeff interpreting this. This is really, really smart. Unrealistic beliefs on scope, they're often hidden and undiscussed, kill high standards. And so he gives this example. Everybody knows at Amazon, we don't do PowerPoints. You're going to write a 6-page narrative. We're going to read the 6-page memo before the meeting, and then we're going to talk about it. And what he realized, there's huge variance in the quality of all these memos inside of Amazon. He's like, well, why is this happening? And he realizes, we have I failed to do a good job teaching that memos take an unbelievably long time. You cannot do it in a day. You cannot do it in a few hours. These people had unrealistic beliefs on scope, and I have to teach them this. When a memo isn't great, it's not the writer's inability to recognize a high standard, but instead a wrong expectation on scope. They mistakenly believe a high standard 6-page memo can be written in 1 or 2 days or even a few hours, when in reality it might take a week or more. They're trying to perfect a handstand in just 2 weeks, and we're not coaching them right. The great memos are written and rewritten, shared with colleagues who are asked to improve the work, set aside for a couple of days, and then edited again with a fresh mind. They simply cannot be done in a day or two. The key point here is that you can improve results through the simple act of teaching scope.
I think, and there's nothing, I agree with all of that, but for me, and I'm going to wrap up after this, for me, the biggest takeaway from the whole the 6-page document and whatever, instead of just a quick PowerPoint and stuff. For me, the big takeaway for that is you need to be doing thinking. And it needs to be deep thought. And there needs to be some kind of system that facilitates that thought, that pushes you forward, that compels you to think. Ideally, it makes it easy and simple, while it also challenges you. Hint, hint. But yeah, like imagine, you would not assume, if you knew nothing about Amazon, you would not assume that they spent days, weeks, writing a paper. Because Amazon is all about action. It's all about day one mentality. It's all about getting stuff done, shipping, making big, audacious products, you know? And you got people writing Word documents, spending days, weeks on them. Seems counterintuitive, especially when you pair that with the idea that you need to make decisions with 70% knowledge, you know, not 90%. They're not gathering information or data. They're thinking, they're ruminating. This is another one of the things that is going to distinguish people in the age of AI. If you don't do any original thought, you just let the AI do all of your thinking for you, you are going to get the same results that everyone else gets. You're going to get them faster than you ever got them before, but so is everyone else. What separates you, even let's forget about business, just as a unique human being. Like, why would anyone care about you? What makes you better than AI? And I'm going to tell you, like, intelligence, of course, matters, but that's not what is going to separate you. That's table stakes to a certain extent. But how you win, how you separate, is everything else, loosely speaking. I think I'll end here. Oh, yeah, this isn't all of the demo. Wow, I hope this wasn't boring for you. Wait, did that? There we go. Okay. Now, let's, expand that. Okay, so what's happening? Let me zoom out there. So it's processing. So this is set to automatically process and generate highlights once the recording is done. And you don't have to do that. You see, I also have this button here. That'll disappear once the highlights are generated. But yeah, you can set them to either automatically or manually generate. You can also do this thing, which is interrogate the source, which is one of the things that I like to do. I'm not always generating highlights from things. There they go. And you see the reminders were added, and I had tasks that were created as well. And you see all of these references, all of these things are linked to this source. They're also, let me hide that so we can just focus on one. They're also linked to other things. So this one should be, yes, it's linked to my Giga Brain product, and that happened automatically. What is this one going to be linked to? Yeah, that's perfect, actually. This is a theory that I've had for a while, and I've been watching and thinking and paying attention and theorizing, and I'm going to be talking about this more, a lot more. Yeah, what's that? Adaptive strategies. That could fit. So you see what's happening here right now is I definitely would not have made that connection myself. And even if that's not a perfect connection, I'm thinking now. Okay. And there's a bunch of other ways to experience this. I haven't left the source. I could go to each of my, destinations, the buckets, or they're called, all sorts of things. By the way, let me go to the today page. I have this interrogate source thing here. I like to start my day off by interrogating my day. And there will be lots of things, including things like the reminders that I made. Like to get goat milk, that wouldn't be a very interesting thing to interrogate. 3 months from now, I will have a reminder waiting for me to take my cat to the vet. And that happened while I was doing everything else, while I was taking notes about Bezos and everything. Everything was linked up automatically. Reminders sent to my day page. The tasks were created. Let's see here. What were those tasks? Yep, add the door field. And I didn't set it up so that due dates and stuff, but you can totally set those up. Yep, review recent trends. There we go. And then I can review those and set those up more if I want. Let me just show one of the things that makes this possible, this level of contextual awareness by the AI and this performance that it's able to do. Okay, so I got this is the brain schema. And this is also how you plug this into your system. It doesn't come with, you don't need to use like a bunch of bespoke super tags and stuff that only apply to this template, this system. You bring in your super tags from your own system that already exist, and you just turn them into sources and highlights and buckets. And I talk about that in the onboarding. I'll talk about it in the events coming up. I'll talk about those things in more depth in future videos. But, basically, this is where information comes from. This is how you pull it out in chunks. And, this is what you connect those things to. That's the short story there. But that's not talking about all the guidance, how the context engineering that is happening. And it's happening as a natural part of your flow. So each of these things, sources, highlights, and buckets, they have their own way for you to tell the AI, this is what this is what I want you to do with it, etc., etc. Let's go with highlights, for instance. Let's start with, let's do insight. There we go. So this guidance is automatically created and then you fill it out, but you don't have to do it all by yourself. There's an AI assistant here that comes with anything that has guidance of any kind. She'll give you information. If you have a blank slate, just say, hey, give me some stuff. As an example, what could I say here? I'm getting too many things that aren't insights tagged as insight, especially thoughts and what was the other one? Info. How can I make that happen less often? And she'll tell you, like, okay, here's some things that you can do. So instead of what's currently under when not to use, I can add these here. And for the other instructions, here's some recommendations. And maybe that's like almost there. I'll give her a little bit more feedback and she'll give me some more stuff and I'll just copy paste. And that's how quickly it goes. So there's overall 4 types of guidance, technically 5. I'm not going to get into the 5th one. The first 3 are these that I showed you. There's guidance for sources, highlights, and buckets, and they're different. They're unique for each one of those because each has different things that the AI needs to be tracking and understand what to do, how to use it. The 4th one that I'll cover right now is this about me. And this is, it's a big long thing, or it can be. Each one of these things you can fill out. You can leave blank and it'll still work. it'll work just fine. And the AI is actually very good at guessing if you leave things completely blank. But just by doing some kind of default filling in with the help of D, copy paste a few times, that gets you so much better results. And then you can improve those results over time as you notice, oh, it's getting these things too much, or those things not enough. This about me, this is really helpful because you tell the AI who you are, what you're doing, what matters to you. And D, this thing right here, I did with the help of D. I had a conversation with me. She guided me along. So in this context, in the other things for the guidance for highlights and everything, that is more like, okay, let's get it done and over with, quick. This, she can do that for you, especially if you already have stuff here and you just want to make a little update. But she's also designed to guide you through an entire process to go deep on who you are, what matters to you, especially as far as like capturing information and why you want it done that way and all those things. And so you don't have to think about what questions do I need to answer? How would I answer those? If you're not sure, she'll help you. She will guide you along the process and say, hey, that was a little superficial there. What if we dug into that a little bit, And she will, put these together based on how you answer questions. So it's just a question and answer session. And then she'll say, okay, basically this thing right here, this is what I get from all of that section. Now let's move on to this type of thing. What matters to you? What would you like to see? Oh yeah, okay, why use that? And then she'll spit this out for you. And so you'll just move it over, copy paste. And you get rich context for every interaction with your agents. And it's just natural, so that whenever you have a conversation with D or Charlie in the future, I'm not even going to cover Charlie right now, but he's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's it. That's enough for now. There's just so much. I'm going to cover a lot in the event tomorrow. So come to the event, link below, and yeah, I'll see you there. If you made it this far in the video, I hope you enjoyed yourself. There's more coming on this channel and my other channel. So this channel is providing solutions and information of all kinds, whatever makes sense for people in their business, their hobby. I want to make people better, faster at anything in any way possible. The other channel is Tana Central. That one is focused purely on Tana. And now I build most of my things in or around Tana. However, not everything I do is in Tana. On Tana Central, I only talk Tana. So some of the content coming is going to be on that channel. If you are interested in taking a behind the scenes look at how I built a template, I would head over there. That content is coming. Also, more templates, smaller things are going to be rolled out that fit with Giga Brain, but can be used on their own also. On this channel, there's going to be more Giga Brain stuff, but it's going to be me using Giga Brain and showing some other things, and also wrapping things into other types of information. I'm also going to be talking more about AI, its impact, how it's used, and what the future is, because we are about to enter a phase of development that is going to be insane. And it's a moment that I've been waiting years for, and now is the time, basically. So I'm going to be talking a lot more about AI. I think from a different perspective than most people on this channel. So if you're interested in any of those things, like, subscribe, comment on both channels and videos, therefore. Yeah, that's it. I think I'm going to call this one a day and hit it, maestro.
The scratching at the walls gets louder. They found me. Locked inside, I check the time, can't make a sound. They're all around, my hands shake as the windows break. Blood runs cold, they're getting bold. These walls won't protect me anymore. I hear them scratching at my door. The barricade won't last the night. I've got to run, I've got to fight. I can't stay, I can't stay. The walls are giving way. My shelter turns into my cage. Gotta find a way, got to find a way before they make me just like them. Heart pounds fast, this room's my last stand to lose. Which way to choose? They're breaking in through cracking wood. Run and hide, but wish I could. These walls won't protect me anymore. Their hunger seeps through every pore. The barricade won't last the night. I've got to run, I've got to fight. They're coming closer, getting stronger. No more shelter, no more hiding. I can't stay, I can't stay. The walls are giving way. My shelter turns into my cage. Gotta find a way, got to find a way before they make me just like them. Just